Have you ever just sat back and imagined it? Batman, the brooding Dark Knight of Gotham, fighting back-to-back with the Avengers on the big screen? It's the ultimate fan fantasy. You have to look at the one place it has happened. In the comics, for decades, Marvel and DC have been the two giants of the industry, the Coke and Pepsi of superhero stories. A huge, sprawling epic where the two greatest superhero teams finally united. These events proved that, creatively, a crossover isn't just possible, it can be absolutely spectacular. DC Comics and the new DC Universe are owned by their direct competitor Warner Bros. Discovery. Asking them to co-produce a movie is like asking Apple and Google to team up to design a single smartphone. It's just not going to happen. But here's the catch. They were always just temporary. The universes would inevitably be reset, leaning into a darker, grittier, and more mythological style, especially with a character like Batman. In comics, you can use the multiverse as a simple, temporary excuse for a team-up. But a blockbuster movie carries a different kind of weight. It would permanently change both cinematic universes in a way you couldn't just walk back. And while someone like James Gunn has masterfully worked in both sandboxes, his talent is proof of his versatility. Not a bridge between two worlds that are designed to be separate. Trying to smash those two styles together without creating a tonal mess would be a Herculean task. If you could wave a magic wand and make all these corporate and creative problems disappear, what would be your ultimate Batman and Avengers team-up movie? Drop your dream crossover idea in the comments below. And if you like breaking down the stories behind your favorite heroes, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. How exactly does the brooding, street-level detective work of Batman fit into the same movie as the vibrant walls between Disney and Warner Bros.? Discovery are just too high, and the business conflicts make it a near impossibility. And while special comic events like the upcoming Batman Deadpool one-shots show the two companies are still willing to let their characters play together on paper, the world of blockbuster filmmaking is a completely different league. For now, the greatest crossover in cinematic history will have to stay where it has always thrived, in our imaginations. Cosmic adventures of the Guardians of the Galaxy? You run the risk of creating a film that doesn't feel like a Marvel movie or a DC movie, leaving both fan bases feeling disappointed. How do you split the profits on a multi-billion-dollar movie? Who gets top billing? Batman or Iron Man? You'd still be left with a massive creative problem. Brand identity? Think about it. The MCU is a meticulously planned, multi-billion-dollar machine that has been chugging along on the same track for over 15 years. Meanwhile, the DC Universe is in the middle of a massive creative reboot under James Gunn and Peter Safran, building a completely new continuity from the ground up. The Marvel Cinematic Universe built its brand on bright, interconnected stories full of optimism and a whole lot of humor. Which streaming service gets the movie after it leaves theaters? Disney Plus or Max? The legal and financial hurdles alone are enough to kill the project before it even starts. At the end of the day, both Disney and Warner Bros. Are focused on building their own empires, not sharing the throne. And the characters would go back to their separate worlds with no memory of what happened. It was a fun tease, not a permanent change. And even though they're fierce competitors, on a few very rare occasions, they've actually let their characters meet. A dream so big, it feels like it was pulled from the pages of the most epic comic book ever written. This was a miniseries where legendary heroes fought each other. And the winners of the biggest fights were actually decided by fan votes. That wild idea led to one of the strangest and most creative experiments in comic history, amalgam comics. The answer has almost nothing to do with storytelling and everything to do with two words: money and ownership. For a short time, the companies literally fused their icons into new heroes, giving us characters like Dark Claw mashup of Batman and Wolverine, but the cold, hard truth is, it's almost certainly never going to happen. And the reasons why are a lot more complicated than a simple company rivalry. It's a story of corporate walls, clashing creative visions, and a logistical nightmare that keeps these two universes forever apart. The funny thing is, to understand why a movie is so impossible, it really kicked off in the 90s with the massive DC versus Marvel event. Then, in 2003, we got the masterpiece known as JLA Avengers. So, if it worked in the comics, Why not in the movies? Marvel Comics and Marvel Studios are owned by Disney, one of the biggest media corporations on Earth. A crossover film wouldn't be a fun, creative jam session. It would be a brutal negotiation between two rival giants. But let's pretend they somehow figured out the money. The DC film universe, on the other hand, has often gone in the complete opposite direction. And that brings us to the final narrative roadblock. A crossover would force both of those storytelling freight trains to slam on the brakes and derail years of their own carefully planned narratives. So yeah, a movie is pretty much off the table. But that doesn't mean we can't dream. Ultimately, the reasons we probably never see Batman and the Avengers on the same screen are uncreative ones. They're corporate.